Blank checks for environmental justice grants, money funneled to green banks. Thankfully, it's a thing of the past.
The EPA now working to freeze $20 billion the Biden administration allocated to these climate groups, which critics argue had little oversight after the money was moved to Citibank.
Various media outlets, including NBC and the New York Times, reporting top federal prosecutor, A, has now quit after refusing to open a grand jury investigation into where our dollars went exactly.
That's just the beginning on the accountability front, because the agency, the EPA, now teaming up with DOGE.
Let's welcome EPA Administrator Lee Zeldin. Mr. Administrator, I'm assuming that is your new title. Lee, great to see you. What is the most egregious, you've talked about the $20 billion so far, but what is the most egregious thing that you have found so far in the EPA that was left behind by the Biden administration?
Well, first, I would really say it's this entire scheme of what to do with the $20 billion, where the money is fronted to 8 entities. By the way, Free Beacon just came out with a story about an hour ago where $2 billion went to Stacey Abrams' group, even though that group only received $100 in 2023. Yeah, in 2024, they got $2 billion. Well, anyway, these 8 entities are all pass-through entities to subgrantees. Many of those subgrantees are also pass-through entities. And the way this whole thing was designed, both the financial agent agreement between Treasury and the bank, the account control agreement with EPA, the bank, and the primary recipients, these were all built to tie EPA's hands behind their back and to ensure less accountability and less oversight. It was a race against time prior to Inauguration Day to get out $20 billion that the Biden EPA said, as they were caught on camera, throwing gold bars off the Titanic.
So let me ask you, because obviously you're trying to clean up a lot of what you are now discovering and you inherited in some of this nonsense that they were pulling at the very end. There's also been a really important shift now in priorities and philosophy and mission at the EPA. Contrast, if you would, what you think the Biden EPA's mission was, and then tell us what the Trump-Zeldin EPA's mission is and will be.
During the last 4 years, you saw this push towards spending tens of billions of dollars to left-wing ideological groups in the name of environmental justice. Well, if you want to help a community that's been left behind, if you're going to spend $1, spend it on remediating that environmental issue in the first place, rather than giving it to some left-wing activist group. For example, I canceled a $50 million grant to the Climate Justice Alliance. They say climate justice is through a free Palestine. As far as the Trump EPA, we are prioritizing first and foremost this core mission of making sure that we have clean air, land, and water. We are also going to help, though, unleash energy dominance, make America the AI capital of the world, pursue permitting reform, and to bring back American auto jobs. Last thing I want to point out is this. I'm very proud of the work of EPA right now out in California. President Trump came in, he gave us 30 days to finish the phase 1 hazardous material removal of over 13,000 properties. We are going to get that done on time. We have over 1,500 workers out there now. They're crushing that mission. This is EPA doing its job. We should not be distracted by spending all that money on some group that's trying to preach for climate justice in Gaza.
And you just hit on something, because I've heard every left-wing nut, Lee, from Jane Fonda to even Jerry Nadler, to talk about the pollution. But when they're referring to climate change, and I'm talking about this make polluters pay movement that wants to force oil companies to pay for climate disasters. It's shown it popping up in certain states, but Jerry Nadler has reintroduced this legislation, and it goes against the very root of why the Environmental Protection Agency was set up in the first place.
Think about where they want this money to go. We have all the clues now, watching what they did with the $20 billion from the Inflation Reduction Act through the EPA. They want the money out of government, with as little accountability as possible to be able to, for example, send $2 billion to Stacey Abrams' group, even though they've never handled more than $100 before that. They want this money to go to support the base activist groups. And it's one of the reasons why you have so many on the left flipping out over DOGE, because the lights are getting turned out on this kind of abuse. I want to share one thing I read earlier today. You won't even believe it's true. I was reading one grant agreement. The first page was telling the grantee that they had 21 days to distribute over $2 billion. Page 6 of the grant agreement said that the recipient had 90 days to complete training called How to Develop a Budget. So they have 21 days to put out over $2 billion, and then they have over 2 more months to finish their training where they learn how to develop a budget in the first place.
Shine the light on it, EPA Administrator. Shine the light on it. You are always welcome here, Lee Zeldin. Thank you so much.